I have a top 5 list. As always, these are born out of Brockman saying, why don't you do it? I'm like, okay. All right, here we go. It is my top 5 list of quarterbacks in need of a bounce-back season.
Okay, I like this.
Okay. Number 5 on this list is the only one that's on this list due to injury. Okay. This is the only one on this list due to injury, and he needs a bounce-back season because you're hearing rumors here in Los Angeles that they were trying to trade him, and you're hearing talk that maybe he's not all that anymore.
Good one.
You know,
they're tanking for Caleb Williams.
He no look to pass to Cooper Kupp in the Super Bowl to thread a needle. So, but we all know last year was a disaster for Matthew Stafford. And I want to see a bounce-back season from him. I want to see him stay here in Los Angeles as long as he and his wife want. I want him to be staring at these Pacific Coast sunsets and having the sunset glint off of a trophy, you know? But, and this year's kind of big, I think. I think this year's kind of big. We will see what Matthew Stafford looks like in a bounce-back season. I hope he is as healthy as everyone thinks he is, as everyone is hearing from the Rams that he is. Let's go. Let's get Cooper Kupp back out there. Let's get the Rams back out there and having a bounce-back season. And they're one of the sleeper teams maybe of 2023. I'm throwing that all out there. I'm throwing it all against the wall.
Because they're going to be sleeping all season?
No, because they still have they've got a very young team with enough of the talent from the Super Bowl season to maybe catch some fire with a terrific coach. Number 4 on this list, got to get it. Got to have it. Need to see it. Is the first year the guy or is the second year the guy? Is the second year because the guys who are coaching him up weren't at all adequate to do so because they'd never done it before? I want to see Mac Jones have a bounce-back season.
I agree with that.
He's number 4 on this list. He is in need of a bounce-back season.
Big time.
Okay, because he's got a coach there who'll be ready to go to Bailey Zappi in a heartbeat if he thinks that's the way to go. And there's no sacred cows in Bill Belichick's world. And even though, you know, AKK loves him.
AKK.
And everyone's wearing their jerseys. They're wearing their 10 gamers to the stadium. But not if he's struggling in the first half of this season and Bill O'Brien's sitting there and he's getting paid. He and the two Bills have a little heart-to-heart. That's the way Bailey Zappi's showing up. I need to see Mac Jones have a bounce-back season. Number 3 on this list. It's been a while since this guy's had a Pro Bowl season. We're all assuming he's the same Pro Bowl guy. And you can cut him if you want a little bit of slack because he had a self-imposed and then NFL-imposed sabbatical that kept Deshaun Watson out of the National Football League for quite some time. His own doing. And then he comes back last year and he finishes up the season for the Browns and he looked mediocre is the only way to put it. And you could sit here and say, well, that is not fair because he hadn't played in a while. And then he had to pick things up in the middle of the season. I need to see Deshaun Watson have a bounce-back season. The Cleveland Browns put a ton of eggs in this man's basket, and they also put a lot of their capital with their fans in that basket. So not just the capital out of their bank account, but some of the capital with their fans figuratively in Deshaun Watson's basket. Got to see him have a bounce-back season and look like the guy who was taking the Texans to the playoffs. If that guy shows up in Cleveland, then we can kind of rearrange potentially some of the AFC North furniture. Maybe even in the state of Ohio. How about them apples? Because as you know, Burrow's had a problem beating this team. So I need to see a bounce-back season from him. Number 2, new address for this guy. After the one team that he's only known coughed him up. Actually, they sent him home for Christmas. And he went on a free agency tour, and he chose the New Orleans Saints. How about Derek Carr having a bounce-back season?
Interesting.
How about him taking the Raiders to the playoffs a couple of years ago? Last year, could not close a double-digit deal for his life. Couldn't put points on the board after crushing the scoreboard in the first half of football games, and then went to sleep in the second half as the defense started to give up points. We all know what was the problem with the Raiders last year, and I called his last game as a Raider Christmas Eve night in Pittsburgh, and he threw interception after interception to close that game, and Josh McDaniels basically said, you are Keyshawned for the rest of the season. And he said that this was something that made his wife cry. Now he's going to New Orleans, where they hope he is the guy that's after the guy, with the guy being Drew Brees being the first one. Derek Carr got to get a bounce-back season from him, and I think the number one on quarterback on this list is the ultimate no-brainer. This one is 1,000%, I think, the quarterback on your list if you're making up a top 5 quarterbacks list in need of a bounce-back season, and it is Russell Wilson in Denver. Let's go. Let's get him cooking again. Let's get him out of the pocket and throwing. Let's get him being Russell Wilson again. Last year was an unmitigated disaster for the heart and soul of so many of those Seattle Seahawks championship teams in the NFC West. And, of course, the kid that was as good as they come for the first 10 years of his career regressed to the point where people don't even know if he's good anymore. Here comes Sean Payton in his first foray as the coach of the Denver Broncos, and they closed up his office on the second floor apparently, and things have changed there, and he looks healthy, and he looks ready to roll, and Broncos country, let's ride. Let's see how that works. He is number one on the list of quarterbacks in need of a bounce-back season in the National Football.
One more. All right, we'll get one more.
Okay, we got one more. You can go in so many different directions here. Certainly since the guy came on strong in the last month plus of the NFL season. So how could somebody come on strong in the last month of an NFL season? And I'm sitting here saying he's in need of a bounce-back season because you don't think he's going to be there anymore. And he's actually, more of a signal caller than a quarterback. And it's Einstein. Yeah, it's Einstein. He's a signal caller. As you know, he's trying to call with a bad signal. That's the last time we saw him, on his bicycle, trying to get better reception on his cell phone. And I'm wondering if he's going to have a season, let alone a bounce-back season, as one of the top signal callers of December and January in the National Football League, and that's...
Man, I got totally fooled. I thought you were going to maybe throw Brock Purdy in there, or even Aaron Rodgers.
No, not need a bounce back.
You don't think Rodgers needs a bounce back season?
Kaput. Come on, man. I don't think he's above any of these people on this list here. I mean, Stafford could be toast.
I'm just saying
toast,
one more.
Right? You need Mac Jones to have a bounce back season.
Ryan Tannehill?
I was thinking of putting him on that list. Rodgers, Rodgers definitely regressed from back-to-back MVP seasons.
He shouldn't have won one of those.
He's going to win 3 in a row. Well, one of them was COVID, right? And you say it was a COVID season?
That should have been Tom Brady's. Let's be honest.
Well, Einstein, he's a signal caller, that Einstein.
Wow. I can't believe I got duped on that. I thought we were done with the Einstein crap.
That's a bounce back.
Nobody wants that bounce back.
I do.
That's a good point.
Dude.
All those other things that people
want. Sometimes we say things into these microphones without understanding completely what it would be like. Put yourself in your shoes if you're sitting at home. Next November, November, next December, and you see him you see Paul Giamatti back on his bike.
I'll change the channel.
No, you won't.
I'm gonna
actually you will, and you know what you'll see when you change the channel? Same commercial.
I'm gonna throw something at my TV.
You can't avoid it. Brilliant. You can't avoid it.
My TV will be kaput because I'll have broken it.
Come on, you gotta like it. He's a signal caller more than a quarterback.
I don't like being fooled like that.
I don't think anyone on the planet Earth loves those commercials more than you.
No, I think Rudd does. Next time we have Paul Rudd on.
Not even Paul Giamatti.
When I saw Paul Rudd at the draft, I don't know why this came up, but he said Paul Giamatti as Einstein was his screensaver on his cell phone for weeks.
That's preposterous. Not Paul's beautiful kids or his wife. Maybe himself as Ant-Man. Nope.
Had that's
ridiculous.
Character as his screensaver on his cell phone for weeks. You know why? Because he knows that's a signal caller.
That's preposterous.
Of note. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.